Good afternoon, welcome to Talking Music. My name is Paul Coates Black. Today I'm going to take a look at the Manic Street Preachers album, Now Your Enemy. Now, originally this album was released on CD or vinyl back in March of 2001. It came off the back of their number one selling album, This Is My Truth, Tell Me Yours, which had been released 3 years earlier in 1998. Hugely successful album, won numerous awards, both in this country and globally. It also came off the back of a number one single released as a limited edition standalone single around the end of the year in 2000. And that was The Mass Against the Classes, which was the UK number one single at the start of the new century. So this came out March 2001, as I said. It featured 4 singles, So Why So Sad and Found That Soul, both of which were released on the same day, and Ocean Spray made number 15 in the UK charts, So Why So Sad and Found That Soul made numbers 8 and 9 respectively, and finally Let Robeson Sing, which made number 19 in the UK charts. The original album features 16 tracks. Now, the band originally had an idea that they were going to put out 2 albums at this point. One called Solidarity, one called Door to the River, both of which were very different in style. The record label wasn't happy with this idea of trying to promote 2 LPs and therefore shelved the idea, so the band were forced to mix stuff together, which meant that it received largely mixed reviews at the time. As I say, it reached number 2 in the chart, so it was a reasonable success. However, the band were never completely happy with it, so here we are in 2022. The band have gone back into the studio and they have now remixed and remodeled Know Your Enemy. It's here, so let's take a look at what it looks like. They have put it into the format that they intended to. So I'm a bit of a completist, so I have gone for a couple of different versions. It's available single CD, it's available just as the 2 albums separately on CD. Of course, you can buy the t-shirts and everything. I've got the 3 CD pack, which includes the 2 albums separately. So Door to the River is on CD 1 and CD 2 is the Solidarity album. So Door to the River features 14 tracks. Solidarity features 18 tracks, so add those 2 numbers together and you've got 32 tracks, so it's double what you got on the original album. So lots of interesting things going to be to listen to there. It's remixed, it's remodeled, so some of the versions of stuff that featured on the original album are going to be different to how they sounded back then. Some of the reviews I've read about are praising this already. Certainly the fans, from what I seem to have been reading, are loving it. I haven't listened to any yet. I am going to be listening to it later. The 3rd CD, incidentally, is all demos. So that's 16 tracks of demos. We've done cassette, studio, home studios, rehearsal places, various different places. So been an interesting package to have a listen to. Of course, being a bit of a record collector, I've gone for the vinyl as well. So the vinyl is 2 double LP. So LP 1 is Solidarity, just the same as CD 1. Other way around. That's interesting. LP 1 is Door to the River, same as the CDs, and LP 2 is Solidarity. So LP side A and side B is Door to the River, Solidarity side C and side D. So I shall be having a listen to both, and I will report back with my thoughts on how this compares with the original and what I think to it overall very soon. Okay, this was released yesterday. Right, I'm back here on Talking Music. It's taken a little while to get through this, but I'm here to take a look at Manic Street Preachers, Know Your Enemy, remixed and reconstructed. So I've got it on both vinyl and triple CD, so we're going to have a look at those. So the original release of the album, Know Your Enemy, came back in 2001. It was originally conceived with the idea of doing the same thing as Guns N' Roses had done a decade earlier when they released Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 on the same day. According to the sleeve notes on this remixed and reconstructed version, however, which was released in September this year, the label were in support of it, following on from the 1998 number one selling album This Is My Truth, Tell Me Yours, and also 2000's number one single Mass Against the Classes. However, as recording progressed, lead singer James Dean Bradfield considered the idea in 2001's highly competitive music industry too much, and so 16 tracks were combined into the original release of Know Your Enemy. Fast forward 2 decades, and the 2 albums appear with the tracks on each title as originally intended, with the exception of utilising today's technology to strip away some of the digital problems that had hampered the original recordings. Hence the subtitled, remixed and reconstructed. Additionally, through reviewing the archive, bass player Nicky Wire keeps everything connected to the band since the early 90s. It was discovered that 2 tracks, Studies in Paralysis and Rosebud, that Wire believed had been B-sides, had remained as demos for the last 20 years, so they were finished and they see the light of day here for the first time. So Know Your Enemy, it's split into 2 albums. Door to the River, that's the more gentle sounding of the albums. This allows the music to soar properly and the listener gently to consider the vocals within. While Solidarity, it's of a more of abrasive, punky nature, as found on the debut album Generation Terrorists. I'm a self-confessed Manic's fan since day one, so as we saw at the start of this clip, I've bought this on deluxe CD and also double vinyl. So we're going to look at the track listing for all of them because it's slightly different on both formats. Firstly, the vinyl. There is also a standard 2 CD version as well, I should mention, that has the same track listing as the vinyl. So the vinyl, it's a double gatefold release. I've put the sticker that came on the front of it on the packaging onto the back because I like collecting these things and keeping them. It came from the Manic site with a signed 12x12 poster of the album cover, so I will show you that as well. In terms of presentation, my only complaint about this would be there's no booklet which contains all the information that you're going to get. You do get in the deluxe CD. It just has very basic sleeve notes detailing band members, the musicians involved, with the producers and the place and recording. On the deluxe CD, you've got much more information about the recording back in 2001 and how they went about bringing it from that version to the version that we hear today on this. So track listing wise, Door to the River LP contains 10 tracks, 6 of which featured on the original album. Rosebud, as previously mentioned, was lost for 2 decades. The title track previously had appeared on the band's first greatest hits album, Forever Delayed, which came out in 2002. And the other 2 tracks never previously appeared on the album were Just a Kid and Groundhog Days, both of which were B-sides on the Ocean Spray single back in 2001. Also included here is, on the main version of the album, is the So Why So Sad, which was, again, another of the singles, is the Avalanche's Sean Penn mix on the main version of the album. Originally, it was the album version that had appeared. So the deluxe CD version of the album contains the 10 tracks mentioned there, in addition to a further 4. The original album version of No So Why So Sad, 2 tracks, his last painting in Epicenter from the album as LA mixes, as well as the inclusion of the track Royal Correspondent, which had featured on the 2001 version but was subsequently removed from this release entirely. The Solidarity CD contains 19 tracks, although 18 are only listed on the packaging. 9 featured on the original release. Additional tracks are We Are All Bourgeois Now, which is a cover version of the 80s indie band McCarthy's song. This is one of 3 McCarthy covers that the band have done during the course of the career to date. It originally features a hidden track at the back end of the original release. Mass Against the Classes, #1 single from 2000, previously been a standalone single, although it did feature on Japanese and Australian versions of the original album, so that's included here for the first time, as well as previously mentioned lost track Studies in Paralysis. Other 6 tracks that are incorporated onto the deluxe CD are Fear of Motion, Pedestal, Didn't My Lord Deliver Daniel, Locust Valley, Masking Tape, and Ballad of the Bangkok Novotel, all of which were B-sides on 3 of the 4 singles released at the time of the original album's release. Finally, the 19th track, Little Trolls. I say the 19th track because, unlike a lot of albums that have a hidden track, this one's actually listed when you put it into the CD player or through whichever device you play CDs. It was, at the time, back in 2001, a B-side on the Ocean Spray single. The vinyl version of the album omits the 6 B-sides and also Little Trolls, thus it just features 12 tracks. Incidentally, a bit of background information, 3 of the B-sides mentioned here would also appear on 2003's B-sides, Rarities and cover version album, Lipstick Traces. And if you're listening to the Masters Against the Classes on this thinking, there's something different to how it appeared originally as a single, you're right. The single version featured a quote from French philosopher Albert Camus, and for reasons unknown, it's not there on this version. So, on the deluxe CD, the final of the 3 CDs contains 16 tracks in a demo form from a variety of locations. That includes studio, cassette, and home acoustic. Of these tracks, all but 3 featured on the original release, with the addition of album title track Door to the River, standalone single Masters Against the Classes, and the B-side Groundhog Days. This final CD provides an interesting insight into the recording of the album, as the demos are largely stripped down tracks to the final version of what they become. Thus, it provides a particularly interesting on listening to tracks as to how they would eventually appear on Solidarity. As previously mentioned, I'm a fan of the Manics and have been since the very, very early 90s. However, the original version of Know Your Enemy, it'd be one of the albums that I would listen to the least from their back catalogue. So, do I feel this remixing and reconstructing has made it an album than what it could and should have been? Well, in my opinion, yes. By splitting it back into its original intention, at the time of writing of Dawn River and Solidarity, the two albums flow better as the sum of their parts, which in turn enables Know Your Enemy to become a richer piece of work. I tried to think as to which I would favour, and I can't answer that. They're two bodies of work which are very different musically speaking. However, both at the same time are still completely consistent with how the Manics have sounded in their career, both pre-2001 and up to the present day. As mentioned earlier, lead singer James Dean Bradfield was against this release back in 2001. However, once the lost tracks were discovered, he was the driver for the inclusion and remixing and remodelling that we're experiencing today. If you're wondering, is it worth buying that deluxe CD for the demos? The band have done a number of reissues of albums or released albums where they've incorporated a second CD or more of demos. And I have to say, generally, they don't particularly excite me. However, listening to this one, I do find them really interesting to listen to, and I'm more likely to listen to the third CD from here than I am on previous releases. Know Your Enemy, remixed and reconstructed, is available now from the Manics online store on 2 CD or deluxe CD with a signed insert of the album cover. As I say, I showed you the 12 by 12 inch version that comes with the LP. It obviously fits in nicely with the packaging there. Vinyl versions are available from other retailers which are unsigned. Unlike previous reissues, the band haven't committed to tour dates to promote this further. However, are currently undertaking a double headline tour in the US with Suede. UK festival dates are starting to be announced for next year, with confirmation this week of headlining the second stage on the final night of the Isle of Wight Festival. Thanks for listening. Take care.